Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on everything you need to know about chat widget accessibility. And we're not only going to cover about our own chat widget, we're going to cover a few things about accessibility in general. If you don't know who I am, my name is Marcos Bravo, and I'm the brand ambassador of LiveChat and their video host. And today I'm with Konrad, which is a key ingredient of our whole company. He's the product manager of our chat widget. If you're one of our users, you know exactly what it is. He's in charge of making sure that we have a chat widget that is incredibly usable, full of new features and full of amazing things. And he's been doing a great job with it. Konrad, great to have you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Marcos. Nice to see you.
So today we're going to be covering accessibility in general too, and this is something that I want to start by giving you a little bit of a context of why is it important and why we wanted to talk about it. So just in case you don't know about this, 10% of the whole world population live with some sort of disability. I'm not talking about little things. It's actually stuff that stops you from doing things. It stops you from getting access to certain information or certain, even to work or to do things. So as 10% of the world, that's a huge number. And 92% of most of the websites around, they don't have a way for people with disabilities to access them. And if you think of 92% of it, that's basically the whole internet is not designed for people with disabilities. When I talk about disabilities, there are certain numbers that I want to state so you understand what are we talking about. So just in the US, 3.8 million people are basically blind or have a serious difficulty seeing, even with glasses or not. Like they just basically cannot see much. 3.8 million, that's huge. And if you think also 15% of American adults, they have some trouble hearing. That's 37.5 million people. So far, we have about more than 40 million people with some sort of disability that stop them from accessing things. And not only that, when it gets even harder, is the number of people living with cognitive disabilities in the US is twice the size of New York City. And if you're probably aware of New York City, it's a pretty big place. So we're talking about a huge chunk of people, Konrad, right? It's a lot of people that cannot access the same thing that someone without the disabilities will access. And this is what I wanted to bring you here, because you guys had a very clear mission in your mind. We, and just to give you also context on why are we doing this thing so much, is that in LiveChat, we have a very clear mission, which is to move and remove the barriers of communication. We want everybody to access a way to communicate with people. And based on that feeling, Konrad, why is it that we decided to move into this area of providing access to everyone?
Yes, as you said, in our case, at LiveChat, we have LiveChat Living Constitution, and we have vision that we want to build communication without barriers. So it was really no-brainer to make prioritize accessibility topic, and we knew that this is something we need to cover with highest priority. But as you said, there are a large amount of people that need such kind of adjustments, and we tend to think that it's some kind of edge case, and it's easy to skip it and postpone adjusting this to website and content to needs of people with disabilities. But as you provided these numbers, this is not edge case. There are a lot of, on every website, there are a lot of people that need such kind of improvements. So
yeah, 92% of websites don't have that improvement.
Yes, and there is a big disproportion about how much we care and how much we spend effort to help them, and what is a number of people that can get profit of it. But also improving accessibility is not only for people with some kind of disabilities. It can also influence people without any disabilities, and there are a lot of benefits that you can have caring about accessibility.
So just so we cover that, this is not something you choose randomly to do, right? There's certain guidelines to cover the way people access the websites, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, there are WCAG guidelines, requirements for website to adjust your content of your website to people with such needs. And there is a version 2.1. This is the newest version that we covered. And there are success criteria, and they are grouped into 3 levels. There is a level A, there is AA level and AAA, and AAA is the best level, but it's not possible to adjust whole content of website to AAA level, so because some content can't be. So we've met, and we made sure, because we had accessibility assessment, that we've met WCAG 2.1 level AA.
Double A, right?
Yes.
So that's still pretty good.
Yes, of course.
Like you said, I mean, triple A is basically almost unachievable.
Yes, it was the best what we could do to adjust our app.
Now, I really want to remind you guys watching this, giving access to everyone is not only the right thing to do, but it's also a great business move, because as you saw the numbers, I mean, you might be missing a huge chunk of the population if you don't provide the right access. Like if you make the effort of tweaking your product and your website and everything that you offer to provide access to everyone, that's a good business move.
Of course, there are customers that will benefit, and it will eliminate barriers for them to access your content. So exactly, there are new customers waiting for you for your accessibility adjustments.
Konrad, can you go through the POUR? Is this part of the WCAG guidelines? Or?
Oh well, we have work areas. Yes, there are requirements, and it is described what should be your content and what do you need to think about it. So you need to think about work areas. We group it into some technical issues we've covered, and we improved keyboard navigation.
Mm-hmm.
We've adjusted our app for screen reader support, and adjusted visuals to make sure that we met all criteria regarding, for example, contrast ratio of text and background.
I have some slides so we can go through each one of the features as well. I just want to do with the next slide and just focus on what we did, right? Because first of all, we wanted to put the case out, like give it some context on why is it important, why companies should be doing it, because otherwise you're missing a lot, and you're also showing that you care about a huge chunk of the population. Like you said, for live chat, it's important to do this because it's part of our vision, right? Like we want to get rid of all the barriers of communication. How was the process for you guys when you decided to move into this? Like, did you sit down and say, look, we need to improve this, or like how was the thought process behind?
Okay. Our process started with testing, because we need to know what is current state of our app, and what does it mean to be accessible. And we had little knowledge about it, and because it's not, we knew some parts that maybe keyboard navigation and color contrast, but it was really hard to think even about what needs to be done. So we started to with research how to test accessibility, and this is something that I recommend everyone, because it's overestimated always by companies, product managers, that to start with caring about accessibility is not so hard. So we started with testing. We've learned what tools we can use to start, and there are really simple tools like browser extensions or settings in your operating system on your mobile. On iPhone you have voiceover, for example. It's super easy to apply it, to turn it on and check website content of your website if you are able to understand what is happening here. So yes, and we reasons to do that. We had multiple requests from companies, for example, from USA, because they have there is ADA, it's American Disability Act, and it make requirements for companies that or the public service companies or cooperate with them.
Mm-hmm.
They need to adjust their website and apps to needs of people with disabilities. And ADA, it's not technical document. There are not strict technical requirements.
So it's basically just telling you need to have access for everybody. That's
Yes.
it. That's the guideline in general.
It's not so short document, but
I'm sure it's more in there.
We can make such summary. But we often if you met WCAG requirements, it means that probably you are also ADA compliant, or this part of your company that is online and so website and apps. So it's really important, and the European Union has similar rules and requirements for companies. So for some companies and website, it's not something you can choose or think about. You are required to do so, and even if you are not such public company, but you provide service for them, you also need to follow this rules. So there are many companies are obligated to provide access for.
So it's not an option. It's basically a legal requirement.
Yes, exactly.
Now, as a marketer, I'm thinking already. Is it okay, for example, live chat user, they can use this information to say we're compliant with WCAG and with this ADA, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we can tell our customers to feel free to announce that you, like, the widget on your page is complying with all these guidelines.
Yes, exactly. There are additional steps because we have multiple possibilities to customize your chat widget, and it was also always our big attitude that you can personalize it, choose any color you want for multiple elements on our app. So you can break these requirements of contrast ratio by choosing colors that have too low contrast. So our default schema are compliant with contrast ratio requirements, but if you choose your own colors, you make sure that they met also
the guidelines.
Yes, exactly.
So let's cut to the chase. In our chat widget right now, we did all these changes. We try to follow every guideline that we could. Let's start with the color and contrast that you were talking. So what were the things that you guys modify, and how can we use them already?
Okay, as I said, we have default themes. So we made sure that those colors used they met minimum contrast ratio requirements because for level AA it's 4.5 to 1. So this is minimum contrast that has to be applied. So we tweaked these colors that we offered as a default option, and also there are multiple elements in our chat widget with default or hard-coded colors, so we adjusted it. And also there is, for example, there's possibility to choose own color of button, and we applied some logic to make sure that text label is visible. So if color is bright, we are choosing black color of text, but if background color is dark, we are choosing light. So to make sure that it's the best visible combination.
Now I know we work together, but this is something I have no clue. How long it takes the team to do this sort of modifications?
It's basic. As I said, it's overestimated to start working with accessibility, and you can do a lot in a few weeks to adjust your app to these rules. But overall process to meet all criteria is always underestimated, and it took longer than we thought initially.
So it's a lot of research before.
Yes, and if your app is not have multiple patterns or components that are you need to find a way to describe it by known patterns. For example, for screen reader, you can have complicated component or part of your app, but you need to find some way to describe it for screen reader. That
it has to be some sort of a universal description, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So maybe if some part of your content is not table, but maybe you can describe it as a table. Maybe it's a good way to do that. So, but maybe there are hidden drawbacks or cases where it would be confusing for screen reader users. So there are multiple parts that were harder than and there were a lot of cases that were surprising for us.
And so color and contrast is already available for us to start tweaking it the way we need it for our own website, right?
Yes, exactly. But we need to make sure that the contrast is met.
It met in the guidelines. Cool. Now, keyword navigation. What was the work done behind the keyword navigation?
Well, first of all, we need to make sure that you can use your app just using keyboard. And so leave your mouse and trackpad and try to use it. You should think about using tab, key, and escape, and space, enter, and arrows. And make sure that every button, every component, and every menu, and every feature is possible to use without using mouse. And you need to start with making sure that focus is visible, because when you are using keyboard, there is some element that is interactive, can be focused. So it means that when you hit, for example, enter or space, button will be clicked. So you need to make sure where this focus is placed right now. And it was a really popular technique for web developers to hide this focus indicator, because when you click button using mouse, there was outline that some designers preferred to just hide, skip, and many website apps have such style on their website to hide focus indicators. So using keyboard, you have no idea where your focus is placed and what will happen if you hit enter or space. And this is a really common practice, and it's really harmful for web. So this is the first thing we covered. We made sure that when using keyboard, your focus indicator is visible, and then we read all requirements regarding navigating using keyboard, and we made sure that you can click every button. And there are some additional requirements. For example, for modal window, that is common pattern for web apps. If it pop-ups, you need to be able only to focus on elements that inside this pop-up. But if you want to close, you should be able to hit escape button
and get out of there. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a lot of user intuition behind. Like, it has to be intuitive for not just for one culture, it's for many cultures, for many keywords. It needs to make sense for customers. Like, all right, I will get rid of that window with escape.
Yes, exactly. And there are because it's popular to meet WCAG 2.0 and 2.8 provided new requirements. And one of these requirements is that every content that appears when you hover on something needs to be dismissible by escape. So this is newly required.
Well, that's cool. That helped me, man, to be honest.
And this is a thing that it benefits not only people with disabilities, because if you are a pro user, you try to use just keyboard and not to touch your mouse, because it's faster for you to just
to move around if you know what you're doing. And it's gonna look. I mean, it looks like this, right? Like you have a visible frame of where things are and where you are in the widget.
Yes, exactly. Yes, this is visible on this animation. It's and you can see key that are used to move focus
around
elements.
That looks pretty cool. And let me go to screen reader. What did we do here? Because I mean, I've seen it done before. Obviously, I don't have this disability, and I never used it as a user. I've seen it used, but what was the work behind doing the screen reader?
Yes, screen reader topic was, in my opinion, the hardest, because this is experience that it's not visible on the in your app if you are not using screen reader, when you use keyboard and keyboard adjusting for keyboard, it's visible for everyone can use keyboard, and improvement your contrast is also for everyone, and but this is just focusing on screen reader, and this is something that surprised me because I had multiple possibilities to check screen readers, and we made a research, and we find out that it's super easy to test your website using screen readers. There are extensions for browser like Chromevox for Chrome, or in Mac OS we have system built-in system reader, screen reader. So it's super easy to test it, and there are multiple work areas inside this screen reader topic. First of all, you need to have proper document structure. It's comparing to Google Docs. You can create your document, and if you want to have a title or a header, you can just mark your text and make it bigger, bold, and it will look like header, but it won't be semantically header. If you will choose this option from Google Docs just to mark it as title or header, there is a special dropdown for that. There are additional benefits, because Google Docs now is aware that it's not text that is formatted in different way, but it's a title of some section, and for example it can be built automatically index for you, that you can navigate through these docs. And it's the same case in HTML. You can style your component that it looks like header or paragraph, but without using proper HTML tags. But you can also use this proper HTML tags for this, for example, for marking headers or buttons, and then screen reader, for example, can better understand your app and provide additional context and additional information for a user, that its button can be clicked. This is a header, and there are some sections of this app, so this is super important. And also there are additional tags that you can use to describe some content. You can have button, and screen reader understand that this button, but you can provide additional tips for screen reader that this button opens many. For example, so it can provide additional information, and screen reader user can know that what will happen if you. So
it's not only describing what the focus is, right? It's not going to say this is a button. Yes. No, it was like this is a button that does this, and this, and that.
Yes, exactly. So and it can influence also your CEO, for example, because that's what Google requires for crawlers to better understand your content.
Oh, cool.
So if you use proper HTML structure and proper tags, and it will benefit screen readers and also your CEO. So for example, so there are additional benefits like in whole topic of accessibility that will come to you with caring about accessibility.
Just to start closing today's catch-up webinar, is anything else coming eventually or sooner or later? There's any plans to keep working on the accessibility for our chat widget?
Yes, of course. We are constantly developing our product and adding new features. So we need to make sure that every new feature meets these requirements. So this is super important for us. So accessibility stay with us. This is not a project that was open and closed.
It's a constant work.
Yes, it's constant work, and so it will stay with us. And also we can think about additional improvements, because we met criteria, but it's not all that you can do about accessibility. You can think about additional improvements that are not described by requirements, but will be helpful for users. So we have additional plans to make sure that we want to go beyond such requirements and test our chat widget with people with disabilities, and to make sure that maybe we can do something for them to make it even more comfortable to use.
So I want to put out an invitation for our own users. If there's anything that you want to test or anything that any feedback, you can always reach out to us and try to reach out Konrad and the team and with feedback about the stuff that we've done and the stuff that we need to do eventually in the future. So just to also recap the stuff that we talked today, we wanted to give you a context of why accessibility is important. Why it's important to work with companies that comply with WCAG. Especially right now it's 2.1, you said, right?
Yes.
So we added this new or improve our features with color and contrast, key navigation, and screen reader for you to provide a better service to your customers in general, and a larger amount of customers for sure. So think about it as not only a move of doing the right thing, think about it as a great business move. And I want to thank you, Konrad, and you guys watching this. You had the pleasure to see the guy who basically I still think is the key of when you think of live chat. You see the little window next to it. Yeah, well, Konrad is the guy who leads the little window of what we do. So, Konrad, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments or reach out to us in live chat. We're 24/7 support, and we're always happy to answer to your questions. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Konrad. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.